24/5/17. We have the 5-box break of 24/25 Upper Deck Series 1. Here we go. Dazzlers for Buffalo of Dylan Cousins. Canvas for Philly of Joel Farabee. And a PvP of Eichel and Zetterlund between San Jose and Vegas. Young Guns renewed! Jeff Skinner for Carolina. Logan Mailloux, Young Guns for Montreal. And a checkpoint of Morgan Geekie for Boston. Number to 250, Deluxe Base for Vancouver of JT Miller. A-Line Speckle for Columbus. Gaming Co-op of Aho and Sveshnikov for Carolina. And a Portraits for Pittsburgh of Sidney Crosby. Clear Cut Base for Nashville of Roman Josi. Canvas of Samuel Girard for Colorado. Young Guns for Arizona of Matt Villalta. Canvas of Cole Caulfield for Montreal. Young Guns renewed for Colorado of Nathan McKinnon. And a Josh Doan Young Guns for Arizona. Breaking news for Colorado of McCarr. FOV for Nashville of Forsberg. Aimbots for Buffalo of Tage Thompson. Gaming Co-op Speckle of Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele for Winnipeg. XP for Ottawa of Brady Tkachuk. Portraits for Arizona of Keller. Gaming XP Green, number to 199 for the Toronto Maple Leafs of William Nylander. Young Guns of Kyle McLean for the Islanders. And a City Satellites for Colorado of McKinnon. Canvas of Zuccarello for Minnesota. Breaking news for Chicago of Connor Bedard. Co-op for Boston of Pasternak and Marchand. City Satellite Speckle for Montreal of Caulfield. Marshall Rafai Young Guns for Toronto. Checkpoint of Slavkovsky for Montreal. Outburst Base for Florida of Barkov. Gaming PvP of Tavares and Stutzel between Toronto and Ottawa. Aimbots for Dallas of J-Rob. Young Guns renewed for the Islanders of John Tavares. Young Guns for Tampa of Emil Lilleberg. And a City Satellites for Minnesota of Kaprizov. Box 2. Dazzlers for the LA Kings of Kopitar. Canvas of Devin Levi for Buffalo. PvP of Pedersen and Beniers between Vancouver and Seattle. Young Guns renewed. Carey Price for the Montreal Canadiens. Olin Zellweger Young Guns for Anaheim. And a checkpoint for Boston of McAvoy. Breaking news for Tampa of Kucherov. Co-op of Marner and Matthews for Toronto. And a Jack Hughes Portraits for New Jersey. Canvas for Dallas of Jake Ottinger. Young Guns renewed for Florida of Huberdeau. And an Ethan Dalmastro Young Guns for Chicago. Breaking news of Brad Marchand for Boston. FOV for Washington of Ovi. Aimbots of Pedersen for Vancouver. We have a Portraits Black Parallel for the Pittsburgh Penguins of Sidney Crosby. Young Guns of Jan Kuznetsov for Calgary. And a City Satellites for Arizona of Clayton Keller. base for Chicago of Jason Dickinson, PvP of Makar and Kaprizov, and a Kaprizov aimbots for Minnesota. Co-op of Bedard and Korchinski for Chicago, canvas of Ingram for Arizona, Young Guns for Montreal of Joshua Roy. City Satellite Speckle for Calgary of Kadri, Jason Poland Young Guns for Colorado, Checkpoint for Washington of Ovi. Gaming Co-op Speckle of Crosby and Malkin for Pittsburgh, Gaming XP for Pittsburgh of Crosby, and a Pedersen Portraits for Vancouver. Young Guns renewed for Chicago of Jonathan Toews, Jesper Wallstead Young Guns for Minnesota, and a City Satellites for Dallas of Jason Robertson. Canvas of Adrian Kempe for LA, Dallas Stars A-Line Speckle, and a Gaming Co-op of Mark Stone and Jonathan Marchessault for Vegas. Dazzlers of Kreider for the Rangers, canvas of Braden Shen for St. Louis, and an FOV for St. Louis of Robert Thomas. Young Guns renewed of Sergei Bobrovsky for the Philadelphia Flyers, Frank Nazar Young Guns for Chicago, and a Checkpoint of Ethan Bear for Washington. Breaking news for Columbus of Fantilli, Gaming PvP of Fantilli Insider between Columbus and Detroit, and a Portraits for Florida of Verhaeghe. Canvas of Claude Giroux for Ottawa, breaking news for Tampa of Victor Hedman, PvP between Calgary and Edmonton of Draisaitl and Kadri. Checkpoint Speckle of Nick Cousins for Florida, Young Guns of Zach Dean for St. Louis, and a Checkpoint for Minnesota of Brock Faber. Gaming XP Speckle for Pittsburgh of Sidney Crosby, Gaming Co-op for Colorado of McKinnon and Makar, Portraits for Philly of Travis Konechny. Canvas of Darcy Kemper for the Washington Capitals, Young Guns renewed for Edmonton of Hopkins, and a Nikita Shiprikov Young Guns for Winnipeg. A-Lines for the Ottawa Senators, XP for Winnipeg of Velarde, Aimbots for Colorado of McKinnon. Population count 1,000. Artemi Panarin for the Rangers. Marat Husnudinov, Young Guns for Minnesota, and a City Satellites of McDavid for Edmonton. Oh, double. Young Guns of Gage Concalves for Tampa. So good pack. Young Guns canvas. Jesper Wallstead for Minnesota. And a Young Guns clear cut for Arizona of Cameron Crotty. Outburst base of Granlund for San Jose, FOV for Buffalo of Thompson, Aimbots of Kyle Connor for Winnipeg. Young Guns renewed for the LA Kings of Kopitar, Young Guns of Lucas Cormier for Vegas, and a City Satellites for Boston of David Pasternak. Dazzlers for Pittsburgh of Crosby, Canvas for San Jose of Couture, Gaming XP of Kucherov for Tampa. Canvas for Florida of Barkov, breaking news for Buffalo of Okposo, FOV of Sveshnikov for Carolina. Aimbot Speckle of Braden Point for Tampa. Jack St. Ivani Young Guns for Pittsburgh. Checkpoint of Vincent Desharnais for Edmonton. PvP Speckle of Thompson and Matthews between Buffalo and Toronto. And a PvP of Thompson and Matthews between Buffalo and Toronto. And a Portraits for Vancouver of Demko. Young Guns renewed of Vladimir Tarasenko for St. Louis. Young Guns for Dallas of Logan Stankoven. And a checkpoint of Nick Cousins for Florida. Breaking news of Ovechkin for Washington. FOV for Colorado of McKinnon. Portraits of Kirill Kaprizov for Minnesota. Clear cut base for Anaheim of Frank Vatrano. Young Guns for Arizona of Cameron Crotty. And a Young Guns canvas, Frank Nazar for Chicago. Outburst base for Chicago of Alex Vlasic. XP for Arizona of Keller. Aimbots for Tampa of Braden Point. Young Guns renewed for Boston of Bergeron. Colin Graff, Young Guns for San Jose. And a City Satellites for Calgary of Nazem Kadri. Canvas of Pavel Zacha for Boston. Young Guns renewed for LA of Drew Doughty. And a Young Guns of Ruslan Ikashov for the Islanders. Breaking news for Seattle of Joey Decord. Co-op of Crosby and Malkin for Pittsburgh. Aimbots for Pittsburgh of Crosby. Young Guns of Sam Colangelo for Anaheim. Portraits for New Jersey of Jesper Bratt. And a Young Guns number to 250, Young Guns Deluxe of Shakir Mukhamadullin. Last box mojo. Dazzlers for Columbus of Dmitry Voronkov. Canvas for Edmonton of McDavid. FOV for Edmonton of Draisaitl. Young Guns renewed for Nashville of Yossi. Landon Slaggert, Young Guns for Chicago. Checkpoint for Winnipeg of Perfetti. Canvas of Peter Mrazek for Chicago. Breaking news for Edmonton of Draisaitl. PvP between Pittsburgh and Washington of Ovi and Carlson. Aimbot Speckle of Kirill Kaprizov for Minnesota. Young Guns for Anaheim of Colangelo. Austin Watson checkpoint for Tampa. PvP Speckle of Pedersen and Beniers between Vancouver and Seattle. Co-op of Hughes and Bratt for New Jersey. Portraits for Florida of Reinhardt. A-line Speckle for Edmonton. PvP between Florida and LA of Doughty and Kachuk. And a Portraits for Vegas of Mark Stone. Black and white canvas of Ryan O'Reilly for Nashville. Young Guns duel between Anaheim and Dallas of Cutter Gauthier and Logan Stankoven. And a Young Guns canvas for the Anaheim Ducks of Cutter Gauthier. Young Guns outburst for Toronto of Marshall Rafai. FOV for the Rangers of Panarin. Aimbots for Colorado of Rantanen. Young Guns renewed for Dallas, Jamie Benn. Graham Clark Young Guns for New Jersey. Portraits of Chris Kreider for the Rangers. Canvas of McTavish for Anaheim. Young Guns renewed of Tim Thomas for Boston. And an Luca Del Bel Blues Young Guns for Columbus. Breaking news for St. Louis of Joel Hofer. XP for Edmonton of Draisaitl. McCann for Seattle Aimbot. And last pack Mojo is a deluxe base number to 250 for Florida of Sam Bennett, a Young Guns for Pittsburgh of Jack St. Avani, and a City Satellites for New Jersey of Jack Hughes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a left-right random to do that will encompass all the PvPs and that dual Young Gun. So 3 times. 1, 2, 3. The left side's got 'em. There we go.